record. Boop. Live. Okie dokie. So, welcome to the Stronger Than You podcast. I'm here live with Emily. How do you say your last name? Sturgill?
Sturgil. Yeah, you said
Sturgill.
it right.
Yay. That's awesome. I think I still have my thing set up for when my husband and I did this. So, wink, wink. I don't know if does that sound any different? I don't know.
No,
Okay.
you
Still
sound
sounds good. It's better as a microphone than as a speaker. Just in case anyone's curious about if you should use a microphone as a speaker, you should not.
Turns out Mike is not the speaker.
Yeah, it turns out it wasn't you. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I don't know what happened in like 0.25 seconds after I hopped off this other call.
Sometimes my computer's like, hey, Sarah, I'm so much smarter than you. I'll just automatically do stuff. And I'm like, thanks, man. You are smarter than me. Except
Aha.
when you want it to be my microphone to be a speaker, and then you are not smarter than me.
No.
Okay, Emily. So let's get started with, I don't know, with something fun. Let's start with, what is your favorite breakfast cereal?
Oh, that's such a good question because I don't actually eat a lot of cereal anymore. But I used to eat a lot of cereal when I was a kid, and I would say like my top that we never really got very often because it was like name brand and we were a generic family was Trix. Trix are for kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. My husband has a really long joke about that, but I can't remember it, and it's weird and it's great, but I say it wrong, so it's not actually funny. Did you ever have the little mini Tricks, like the little bitty ones?
No, are those newer?
Well, they were at some point. I don't
Okay.
know. They
There's
don't
mini
always come
Trix.
out, but there were mini Tricks. I don't know. They feel really fun in your mouth. I know. I like those.
Oh, I haven't. I also loved Captain Crunch.
Mm. But
Except
you
for
have to have it like
I was
the roof
just
of your
gonna
mouth.
say, you really gotta be like, you almost, you know, those things where you're like, I just accept that I probably won't feel that awesome later.
My
With
mouth will just bleed.
like with Captain Crunch, you're like, this is so good, but I'm just gonna accept that the roof of my mouth is going to be a war zone after this. Or like if you eat something spicy and you're like, this is gonna be so good, but I'm just going to accept it maybe won't feel good later.
Or if you cut up jalapenos, you're like, I'm going to touch my eyes. Even if I never do,
Can
I'm
I
just
tell you?
going to. Yes,
Can
tell
I
me.
tell you a funny story about
Yes.
jalapenos, about jalapenos?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in college and I had a roommate, her name's Rachel, and I met her in the dorm. And so we had gotten our first apartment out of college. And we were having, so CSU, Colorado State University, and CU, Colorado University, they are, rivals. And so they have the Rocky Mountain Showdown every year. And
Right.
this is another story. First time I had ever gone to the Rocky Mountain Showdown, I got a migraine and it was so hot. And I was like, I'm not ever going to that again. Okay, cut two. It's the next year. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to that again. And so we're like, oh, we'll host people over at our house. And I'm like, I'll make jalapeno poppers. But I decided for whatever reason to make like jalapeno bite-size poppers, not just like full jalapenos, but just like pieces of it. And I did not know that you could get a chemical burn from the juices of jalapenos. And I'm chopping them all up, putting them all together. And I swear my hands burned for so long.
For
Like at
too
least
long.
a week. I was like, my hands.
What happened to your hands, Emily? Nothing. I was
Like
saving someone from a
hot,
fire. Leave me
hot
alone.
red.
Definitely not
However,
jalapenos.
so full disclaimer, if you're going to do that, please wear gloves.
Serious. That's what my husband does now. He's the jalapeno cutter in our house, and he
Mm,
always wears gloves.
it's for
Yeah.
the
Yeah. But sometimes you just got to have them, like in guacamole. We really love it in guacamole.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I love jalapeno poppers. I love guacamole, salsa.
Mm. Maybe we're hungry.
It's like, I did just eat soup, so I shouldn't. I mean,
But apparently
you
that was
got
not
started with
jalapeno
the
poppers.
cereal. You got us started with cereal, and now we're
I
here.
did. I did. Apparently, maybe I'm hungry. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's fun to find out random stuff about people. So I just
Yeah.
ask. Why not? Okay. So, Emily, you and I met in a group kind of accidentally, didn't we? We were paired up
Yeah,
and
it was just kind of like, and you're together.
we're like, okay, let's see what
Yeah.
happens.
And you were like, want to jump on a call? And we FaceTimed.
And it was really fun.
It was.
And do you want to explain what you do to the people in the world? Because the whole world's listening, obviously.
All the world.
All of the world.
Get ready, all of the world. This is what Emily Sturgill does. I am a sales coach. Currently, I'm a sales coach. I'm kind of a person that's like a jack of all trades. Like I'm the handyman at our house. Like if you can relate to me, if you're listening, I am very good at fixing things versus my husband is not the one who's like, how do we take this apart and put it together? Not that that's my favorite thing to do, but I have taken a whole dryer apart and fixed it twice. I know. But so aside from being a jack of all trades, I'm like also really good at sales. And it's so interesting because I was actually just listening to this. I'm listening to a series of sales calls for this company that I'm working with. And I had listened to the dude whose company it is, and I'm like, okay, like I'm picking up on these are the calls he's closed, and I can feel why.
Okay.
But he's like, now the other sales people, there's calls that maybe they should have closed, but they haven't. And I was like, offered, like, let me listen to it. So I'm on this. This is just an example of what I do really well, right? So I'm on listening to these sales calls now, and I'm like, it's so clear that what's happening is so surface level on why like the person, the caller, the person who's looking to get help with a problem, it's so clear why he's not seeing the value and then doesn't buy the thing.
Wow.
He's like, this is something that he wants, but then when he's quoted the price, he's like, now he's like thinking about money and he's like, that's a lot of money. I see why I want you guys and need you guys, but because it was only kept at the surface level, like he in his mind is like, well, maybe this is something I want later because is it really going to move the needle or do anything for me? Like that's what I see in the sales conversations. So why I'm saying that is because when I say that I'm a sales coach and I'm really good at sales, it's because my level of sales is such a deeper level in terms of where you want to take somebody to be able to make such a clear decision about if they want your thing or not and what you can really do to help them with it.
Nice.
And so that's what I do. And so now I'm like, I want to be, I'm training women in sales. And like there's a couple routes I can go with it. So like the clarity of it, guys, is not totally there. I'll be fully transparent. But I'm good at it, so to speak.
When did you find out that I think that was a great explanation. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yay for fixing stuff. My husband and my daughter are the fixers in the house and do this really quick, but I just fixed our dishwasher and I feel like, yeah.
Don't you feel so good? Like you start wearing a tool
thing out.
belt around the house. Like, yep. Like you're swinging the hammer.
I just did that. And I bought a new tool because we didn't have the tool to do the thing. And I was like, I mean, whatever. Yeah, that's what I do now. I fix stuff. My husband actually, one more side note, then we'll get back on this. But my husband, he knows how to make fire. Have you ever heard of a bow drill set?
No.
Okay, so there's like rubbing sticks together, which forget it. A bow drill set is where you make like this bow, like think of like a bow and arrow.
Okay.
And then you wind this bow around this other stick, and then you have this cap thing on it, and you like use this bow back and forth. So down here in the bottom, there's like this. Essentially, he's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, Sarah, this is not how it works." But I'm doing my best. There's like this stuff down there that lights on fire because you move
like
it really
the grass.
Yeah,
Stuff,
like on
the dried weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was literally
That's
thinking.
exactly what he did. And if you watch that movie, like that is so you make it and you're like, it takes forever and you're sweaty and you want to give up and like your body hurts. You're like, I'm just trying to make fire. I could get a match, but like, anyway, so like, yes, I felt like that. So totally when I fixed the dishwasher, I was
Wow. You're like,
listening for
I
it to do it.
made
I was like,
fire.
so
I fixed this.
anyways, yes. So we can fix stuff. It's awesome. It
I
feels good.
it's huge.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
great.
Okay. So back to sales though. I'm curious, two things. You made me think of two things. My face is itchy.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So I'll just itch my head and then we'll be all fine. We'll get all over it. When did you first know you were good at sales? Is one of the questions, but maybe this piggybacks onto something else. Did you always want to be in sales?
Yeah, this is really good because I had a master class a week ago, and when I was writing the master class, I had thought about this. And I was like,
Oh, okay.
oh, first of all, sales is something I never went looking for. It's something that always found me. Like it's something that's always been like it just keeps showing up.
Fun.
Even when I was like, making a new direction, I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to do that. And then I like go and like, pitch this big thing and they're like, why aren't you doing sales? So I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, so to answer your questions, sales has always been something that's found me. I never went looking for it. But then at the same time, maybe I did. I just didn't know that that's what it was at the time. I started in door-to-door sale. Well, no, I started in retail sales. And like I'm just like, I'm gonna work at the clothes store, but there's an
Nice.
element of sales that, come with
Yeah.
that. And then I got somehow landed a job in exterior, like door to door selling exterior house paint. It's like,
Door to door.
how
Okay.
am I here? I have a funny story I have to tell you about it, but before I do, I'll
Please, please tell me you were carrying like massive gallons of paint. I don't know why I see.
I
I just
wish
see
I would
you
have
like
been
being
really buff.
adorable and tiny and carrying these paint, being like, I'm selling exterior paint.
You want some of this?
I got it. You want it?
Yeah. No, so I learned the whole door-to-door route, and then I was like on sales call. I got out of that though. Let me just say, I got out of that because I was like, this isn't for me. I don't like it. It's
It
terrible.
didn't make you happy selling exterior house paint
Now I have
door to
two funny
door.
stories to tell you about it. Yeah. And I was like, I'm miserable and I'm not good at sales. And this is
Oh,
yeah. And I'm like, I quit and I quit
yeah.
that job.
Okay.
And I thought I was like going to quit sales. And then what was my next job? Then I'm like a cocktail waitress, slinging
Like, what
drinks.
the sales?
I know it's a part of everything. And then I'm like party coordinating at a kid's blow up place and like, doing the parties and stuff. And then what else am I doing after that? And then I'm a sales manager for a large department store and running large teams and doing running sales events for the whole store and running sales events for, you know, the store within the store. And it just was like, I don't know. Like I said, it's always just something that's like, then it just boop, 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 blew out from there. So why I went back into like a sales program, I don't know. I just panicked after high school or not high school. I panicked after
Oh, wait,
college.
so this
Yeah.
was all before high school?
No, 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 no. Sorry, I said the wrong
Oh,
thing.
I was like, good
I was like,
heavens.
after I'm like graduating from college and I'm like, I have all these, I'm gonna have student debt. How am I gonna
Oh,
pay for this? Meanwhile, I just got a bachelor's of science in psychology, and like the other route is go get more debt and go to the graduate school. And if you're gonna be a counselor, a therapist, and I just
yeah,
like, I don't really think that that's what I want to do. But then it's so interesting because then I kind of did
right.
when I did all these sales event retail things. I sold and ran a team for a Sephora inside JCPenney for like a long time too. And that was where I really learned about like very intimate conversations because I'm like talking to women about their skin and I'm talking to women about like the most vulnerable part of them, which is like putting on makeup to feel pretty or look beautiful or for
Yeah,
whatever it is that they think they need to aspire to. And
right.
so those are like very intimate conversations. And after I
Yeah.
got out of that, I was in a law firm having consultations with people whose families are falling apart. And so that's also a very emotionally charged space. And so that's why after that, I like just like was landing client and landing client and landing client and landing client for the law firm. And they're like, Emily, you could do more with this. And then I became like the director of marketing and sales and all the things. And, my team was doing, 1,800 sales calls a year and over $2 million in just retainer dollars, which led to our law firm scaling from, $700,000 to 8.8 million when I left. Yeah.
Geez, that's fantastic. Nice. That's a really, really good big number jump.
Big number jump. It took us 5 years to get to 8.8 million, but
Wow.
but it was a lot of work, but I learned a lot along the way. And what I learned about the whole sales thing was it was like rooted in heart connections, like heart conversations, and actually like emotionally caring about the people that were on the other side and taking it from, just needing help with makeup or just needing help with a divorce or a custody situation to like, what does this actually mean for you at this time? And where are you actually wanting to go with it? Like, is it about you buying a foundation or it's about you feeling a certain way while you're at your daughter's wedding and how you feel you want or need to look for that event? You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference
Yeah.
between,
It's a big
okay,
difference.
let me
Yeah.
show you the foundations versus like, oh, this is really that special to you. So there's probably going to be photography and there's going to be a videographer and like so you need a foundation that does it comes across good on like camera and flash photography. So here you're going to need this, but because it's flash photography, you're also going to need this powder and you're also going to do and you have a more mature skin type and you have sensitive skin. So now you're going to need these few things and that's why you need this brand. So it's like this investigation in a way or this to me, I don't think there's an investigation. It's more of like a asking the right questions so you can truly get the person what they need.
That's awesome. So you've really become a really good listener.
Listening is key. Key.
Yeah, my husband and I talk about that all the time. There's a difference in like listening to respond versus listening to understand. It sounds like when you're doing when you're doing sales, it's more about listening to understand someone. I like to joke that like I accidentally sell stuff. I accidentally make things happen because I'm a good listener
Mhm.
and I want to understand what someone's talking about. So I love that that's what you're saying, that she didn't just come in to buy makeup. She came because her daughter's getting married and because there's all these other things happening and that's why she wants to get makeup. There's going to be pictures, there's going to be all sorts of things happening and she wants to remember these things. And so that's what you're hearing. Like you want to be beautiful in these memories instead of just, I'm here to buy foundation. So that's really cool that you did that. And then in the law firm or in like getting a drink or whatever, it sounds like you've always been able to do that. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I worked at a place called the Drunken Monkey in Fort Collins, Colorado, and they had swings at the bars, swings that were like hanging from the ceiling, but there's a lot of people would fall off of them on the Saturday night. But there was a DJ, there was fish bowls. It was a crazy atmosphere.
Oh my gosh, I bet it was. That's the drunken monkey with actual swings. That'd be
Yep.
hilarious.
And drunky monkeys.
That's
But
awesome.
good times.
So you left, so you built this massive, made this big, huge jump for this law firm, and then you left.
I did. Actually, that's interesting because that's why I was saying I've never gone looking for sales. It's just something that's always like followed me or found me. And when we were scaling at the law firm, um, I loved my team. My team like tripled in size. I was running the marketing and sales team, but it was getting to be too big to do both. And our marketing department always needed help. Like it didn't have enough hands, to be honest. And then with like my sales team, we had gotten this performance coach for the law firm at the time. And she was like, you need to focus on sales. Meanwhile, I'm like holding two very important pillars of our business, right? And
Yeah.
so where we didn't have help, which was marketing, which is very important, um, was like needed my help, and sales was kind of running itself, but it was missing some of my listening to the sales calls and helping coach the people. So like I was being like kind of
Right.
torn and split. And there was just a part of me that was probably burnt out and felt like I was wearing too many hats. And then there was another part of me that was like, because they were like, okay, Emily, we're gonna, because I was like, I need help. Like then I can't be listening to like 4 hours of sales calls a day and running two
Right.
departments and managing all these people. Oh, hello, ghosts. I'm just
I know. Hello. What?
oh.
Real life, getting ready for baseball,
Oh,
I
no,
think,
that's good. It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. And then yeah, so then I was like, okay,
So you
well,
asked for help. He's like,
I'll
I
need
can't
help.
do everything. Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we'll get you help. And meanwhile, I just had done so much with my boss. Like we like built like it was so crazy how this law firm scaled and how our team went from like when I started as just the sales consultant, it was like six of us. And then when I left, we were like over 30 people. And all this things like what
Wow.
all this had happened. And so when we were going having the conversations, I just remember them being like, okay, Emily, well, why don't you just be the sales manager? And I thought there was like a part of me that was like, okay, I could do that, but like this like overwhelming anxiety came over me that I was gonna get. I couldn't describe it any other way than like building this thing and then in getting like forced into a box in a way.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I was like, okay, I could do that, but I feel bigger than this. Like, I feel like my
Okay.
message and the way I can help people is bigger. And at the time, I was feeling a lot of burnout. And so when I left the law firm to like do an entrepreneur thing, I was originally just going to focus on working moms and like how to bring them relief and balance to like life. And so when
Yeah.
somebody was like, "Oh, you should be teaching like a lot of people," I didn't realize this is one of my big realizations over my last 8 month journey of being out on my own. But it was, I didn't realize how much help people needed with sales. I just thought, for my 15 years of sales experience that people had, like it was common knowledge to
Hmm.
sell the way I sold or how I taught my teams to sell. And apparently that's not the case. It was basically what people were telling me and like shaking me by the shoulders, like, no, seriously, like people need your help. So
Yeah.
so then I was like, after I was realizing that, and I was in this conversation with actually Mare, who you know,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I remember, and you can see how much she's like opened up and like has like blossomed in just like a short period of time. But I was on a call in like my first ever call being in this thing that you and I are in, and Stacy was asking me about questions or related to sales, and Mare being like, "Hey, I think you can help me. This is somewhere I need help with." And I was like, "Oh, somebody needs my help," and I was like, "I'll help you, Mare." And so we met, and it's really worked out for her. She's doing like she's going to be offering like her first challenge next Sunday, and
Wow.
it's like the how far she's come in just that time, just working one on one with me, like really gave me a lot of confidence too that I could actually teach in a way that resonates with somebody like Amer, who is more introverted and is maybe more um, like kind of like arm's length at terms of like what sales could actually be. So it was like to break through to her was like, whoa, this is crazy. So that's what I'm out there doing in the world.
I love that you're doing that. It's interesting. On the call that we were on earlier today, I had kind of the same epiphany that I think you were just sharing, that because you were so good at sales and you were so in it, you just figured everybody was. Like our call today, the
Mhm.
conversation we were having, I just thought, I think that we don't realize like our superpowers and the really cool things that are happening because we're in it. When we hear it
Yeah.
outside or for someone else, or we see a movie, or we hear about it, somebody else tells us like, "Oh, wow, that was so incredible." But when we're in it, it's like almost we miss it sometimes. So
Yeah.
I love that you're getting able to see just your what you do and how you do it, that it's super, super needed and that you can really help people. I love that you're able to see that. And it's so you make sales not seem sleazy because I feel like anytime somebody says sales, like the
Oh
initial
yeah.
response is always like, "Eh." It's like,
Oh.
well, but aren't we, I mean, like, really, aren't we always in sales? Like, if I want my husband to go and do something with me, like, I got to sell him on it, essentially,
Sometimes, yeah.
you know?
Especially if it's not like for me, my husband, like, bless his heart, he comes. Sometimes I'd rather just go by myself, like, but when I want to go shopping, which I love shopping, but
Mhm.
I'm like, hey, can we go shopping on this Saturday afternoon? Like, that's kind of what I really want to do. He's not so down with it. So, that's when you start adding, and then we could have lunch, and we should stop by that store you really like too. And like you make it appealing for the other person, and he's like, well, I have been wanting to get a new hat, or or whatever. And then you're like,
Yeah.
see, and you bring them in on whatever it is they need. But yeah, you're selling all the time. You're having heart conversations all the time. You're talking to your spouse or your kid or for me it's my toddler or your in-laws or your, name it,
And toddlers
anybody.
are the hardest. Toddlers are the hardest sell.
Yeah.
They know what they want and they don't care. They're hilarious. So you mentioned having heart conversations. Do you want to just kind of sprinkle to everybody listening what the heck that is? Because I
Oh
loved it when you
yeah.
explained it. It's so cool.
So I say sales conversations are just heart conversations. And heart is an acronym that stands for honest, empowering, action forward, real, transformational conversations. So when you're having heart conversations with your spouse, for example, you're probably being honest. Maybe you should be honest, empowering, action forward, real, or transformational. And think about like how you might talk to a friend, for example, who might be like confiding in you if you're, like with me, I get with my girlfriends every once in a while. Like it's not as often as it used to be, and I wish it was a little bit more, but we're like sitting having appetizers and like just divulging, whatever the last couple months has been, right? Like we're going like hard on what's happened in her life and in my life. And so those I would consider as like heart conversations. We're being honest with each other, empowering each other. We're being um action forward. So like action forward, you could think of like have you talked to somebody about what step they're going to take next? Did they come to you for some sort of advice? Maybe you went to them. That's action forward thinking, like what's going to happen next? Where do you want to go? How do you want this to turn out? And then real, right? And I say that because sometimes conversations have to be real, have to be honest. Like if somebody's got something in their teeth, then you probably should tell them before they are at a networking event talking to 100 people.
Oh
Otherwise, they're
my
probably
gosh.
not a very good friend. Like that's not very heart-like. And then
Right.
transformational, right? You maybe they started by like if you're consoling a friend and they were crying for whatever their situation was, and by the end you're laughing and having like deep belly laughs because you were able to take them out of the emotional upset state and get them into a happier state, where they leave the conversation feeling better, or like they made a decision or they know what their next step is. Then that's to me, that's what sales is.
I love it. And that's just feels better,
It
doesn't
feels
it?
really good when you can reframe it in a way that's like service is something that we do for people, not to people. You could see how even just reframing it that way, I'm having a sales conversation for you to help you make a decision about where it is that you are right now and where you want to go, and I'm helping you get you to it versus um the to you. I want to convince you to get this thing, to do this thing, to take this step. That's where people's minds usually go when they think of sales, but there's another way, and that's what my mission is right now, to show them the other way.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. Sorry, I'm looking at
Hello.
my son here. You need something, buddy? I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Go get ready for baseball. Just go get ready for baseball. The 13-year-old who doesn't want to be seen. So nobody look. Nobody look at all. Although I have to tell you, I mean, he just came in because his back's hurting. And I love that
Oh,
he's willing to come to me for that. So that's really cool. I love that you were sharing about that, though. That was something when you said that on, I don't know, whatever you were doing at my people party or
eons ago.
something. And you said sales is something that you do for people, not to them. I loved that because I think that's when those heart conversations are able to be had. Like when you're talking with your girlfriends and you had a really good experience and you're like, I ate at this place and oh my gosh, it was so good. And so then they go, like that's a sales conversation. And I think if we normalized sales, right,
Normalize.
and don't make it so creepy and like, oh, sales, that's what
Normalize.
we're all in it wherever we work. There's some sort of sales or some aspect of sales. I mean, as a
Yeah.
mom, you gotta sell your kids on stuff. And I don't know, I just think I would love for it to be to sound less gross because it isn't gross. If
Not if you're
my
truly
son
helping
wants a
somebody.
massage and
Aw.
I have the skills,
Yeah.
like I'm being helpful in doing that and not,
Yeah, and you wouldn't if you were like, if you let yourself, we're just gonna use this as an example because it's like live and happening,
yeah,
is if you felt a certain type of way of like, well, I can't do that to you because then I'd be like selling or like,
yeah,
ooh,
right.
ooh, no, because now I have all these feelings coming up for however I feel, and instead of being worried about how you feel and how actually what I could do could help you and serve you, like you see how approach it from like help and service, like, oh yeah, I have what you need. I'd love to help you versus, um, ooh, do you maybe sort of want this thing? Or like, ooh, I'm not gonna help you because that makes me feel bad right now. It's like, yeah, I know
I know
you
it
feel
seems
bad,
ridiculous,
but I
but it
feel
sounds
bad.
ridiculous, doesn't it? Like when we talk about
Yeah.
it that way, like you want my help, but I feel weird helping.
But I want to help because that's why
But I want
what
to
I do
help
it
because
anyways.
I'm so good at it and I can help you.
Yes, I was we had this hot button thing, which like for anybody listening, highly advise my friend Ruthie had told us, hey, if you have a hot button, the best way to, talk about what you care about is just push the hot button and start talking about your hot button.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, that's so good, right? It was so good. Um, nope, I lost where I was going with that. Where was I going with that? We were talking about
We were talking about sales and massage and helping people and feeling weird about helping them.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
you
that was
started
my
talking about the
hot
hot button.
button. I was my
Okay,
hot button. My
there you
hot button. This are thank you, thank you, thank you. It was like boop. The hot
go.
button was um like people feel weird about sales, but I was like, well, I mean, how do you feel about gatekeeping something that could help somebody? You know? It's like,
Yeah,
what do you call gatekeeping? Getting somebody better or getting somebody to the next step or getting somebody onto the like transformation they need to level up in their life. Like, what do you call gatekeeping it if you're not going to be open enough to sharing it with them to actually help them?
I
Wouldn't
know.
that shouldn't we normalize that feeling worse?
Like, can you imagine driving up to the restaurant and being like, I'm going to order this? And they're like, yeah, well, we've got it and you could order it, but I feel kind of weird selling it to
Yes.
you. Like, what? That doesn't even, I'm asking you for, yeah, but then I'll have to take your money and then I have to sell it to you.
Yeah.
So probably no. It
I
just
know
sounds
you
ridiculous.
literally
Like you would
came to
never
me.
do that.
Yeah,
So,
I know you literally came to me for help on this particular problem, but I'm afraid of you rejecting me. So even though you literally came to me for this help, I'm
yeah.
afraid of what you might say, so I'm not gonna do it. See if that person comes back.
Right. It sounds ridiculous when we put it like this. And I think that's kind of nice when starts sounding so ridiculous
You
because
can
then it's
kind of
like,
like
okay,
poke fun at it, right? And then be like,
yeah,
oh yeah, that was a silly belief that I had.
right. Like it's okay. That's that's really I love it. I love how you frame it because it makes it like the accidental sales that I do, like
Hmm.
many of the people watching and listening will know that I'm not doing air quotes. I don't know why. I accidentally became the
I love
HOA
air quotes.
president. And the way I accidentally became it was because I wanted to help the community. That was it. I showed up at this thing. I've never lived in anywhere that had an HOA before. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, oh, I'll put my name in and I'll help. So I got up. I had people cheering at an HOA board meeting. If you've never been to one, it's so boring. It's so boring. I had
I was
people
gonna
literally
say this
clapping and
is
cheering and like on
surprise.
their feet. And all the people before me, everybody just kind of looked at him, and I was like, why? Like they're
Did you
cheering.
give a speech, or they were like,
That
that's like
was
when
like
your name
5
got
minutes, but
drawn
that's
out of
what
the hat?
everybody did. That's
Wow.
what everybody got up there. They're like, we're gonna have you speak for a couple minutes. And so everybody got up. And it was literally, my husband was sending me notes like, talk about this and talk about this. So I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll tell you this and I'll tell you this. I speak, I'm fluent in Spanish and I'm pretty fluent in English. And then I have a few phrases in Haitian Creole because we adopted our oldest son from Haiti. And so I know a few phrases from there. So I just like
Wow.
opened with some fun stuff, but it was interesting because that's all it is. It was just a heart conversation. Like it was just all of those things. You know, I was hearing them, I was seeing them, I was knowing what they wanted because I am the community. You know, I am what they wanted. Like when I give a massage, it's different than a lot of people because I don't go in with like, you get this, 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 and this. That's not how it is. I listen to them. What do you need? What do you want? What hurts? And that's it. Like that's the difference. That's the difference.
So
And I
good.
love that you said at the very beginning, you can hear why the sales call works and why it doesn't. And I'm curious if the people who are on the phone, if they could hear it, if they listened back.
I think they would once they know, like for this particular thing that I'm doing, I like was taking voice notes and like pausing the sales call, and I'd be like, well, here, we so clearly missed an opportunity to ask. Like in this call, for example, he's like, yeah, the potential client's like, yeah, and I work full time. The guy says, okay, cool, cool. On to the next question.
Mm.
How are we possibly going to close a call saying you need to invest 10K in X that is going to help you with a new career route, which is actually directly aligned with your dream, if we don't first understand what you do? So this is an example where you'd be like, and literally the not one time in the call did the guy ask him what he does. Oh, you work full time. What do you do for work, if you don't mind me asking? Do you see? Okay, for all the people listening, I'm gonna just school you for a minute
We
because
got some hot button
this is
happening,
gonna
Ruthie, if you're
this is
listening.
gonna change your life, okay?
Let's go.
In how you
Lean
listen
in.
to, in how you listen to people and what you think the goal of the conversation is. So in this particular sense, if it's a sales call where you should buy this thing because it directly correlates and relates to what you want to do and what your dream career would be and what your dream life would be, and you tell me you're working full time doing not your dream thing, don't you think I should have some curiosity about, oh, what do you do now? Because don't you think it would then be a different conversation or a different layered conversation of, like, what do you do full time? Well, I'm a server right now. I have to pick up doubles all the time. So it cuts into the time that I get to do the thing that I really want to do because I can barely keep up with my bills. Great. What's going to happen if you keep doing that for the next 6 months instead of taking the next step that is actually going to directly like shoot you up to where you actually want to be? Or maybe the person's like, yeah, I work full time. I'm actually, I run an accountant agency. I just do this for fun. It's where my passions are, but the accounting agency, but now I'm like, okay, here's what you would listen for is like person doing the serving job, trying to make ends meet, and person who has the money but is not passionate doing what he's doing. You can see how that also leads into two very separate conversations about how to get this person into the next step, which helps him to his dream life, whether he's passionate about it. So it was like just in the first however many minutes, and that being missed was huge. So of course, when you're asking for the investment or you're telling them the investment and you only related it to a very surface level metric or goal, and you didn't actually like leverage anything that was actually real and happening in that person's life,
Obviously.
I think if they knew that, they would clearly see.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
when
really
I'm
interesting.
thinking that's going to happen, because I have a couple more calls to listen to this particular thing, what I am anticipating is the hypothesis is that they don't know or realize yet that there's more to a sales conversation than level one.
Oh, I bet because there's probably a script.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
they
and that's
asked
what I
they
heard
asked
would
that
hear.
question.
And then move on to
And
the
so
next
now we
question.
move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you said about listening, yeah,
Yeah. That's not in
that
there.
was
That's
this
not in the
call that I
script.
listened to.
Listen
Yeah,
for
this
the
person was more
response.
so check, asked that question, check, asked that question,
Yeah.
check, asked that.
Yeah. Instead of a choose your own adventure, they said this. Oh, now we turn this way. And now we go down this route. Oh, now we turn this way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, wow. So it was good for me because I was like, it reinforces why heart conversations and a different way of thinking about sales is so needed.
Mhm.
Not because it helps this, I mean, yes, it helps the salespeople. Yes, it helps the businesses, but the businesses, depending on the mission, and in particular, the people that I'm working with or I talk to have beautiful missions on what they want to help people to do. So it's so needed to get better at sales for these particular businesses because their missions impact lives. And when you impact lives, it impacts the world, and then everybody just is happier.
Yeah. And we could use a happy world, couldn't we?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could use a happy world.
We really could. So it's been nearly an hour. We did have technical difficulties, but it's been almost our hour. And by we, I mean me, because my microphone was trying to be a speaker, which was really cute, but it's not. It's a microphone. Thank you, microphone. Just be a
Thank you.
microphone. Um, so my podcast is called Stronger Than You Think.
Mhm.
And so I want to ask you, what have you done? And this can be sales or anything, because I've heard you speak passionately about a lot of things. What have you done essentially that you thought you couldn't do that then proved that you were stronger than you think?
Oh, good question. Well, I mean, just to relate it back to what we had talked about, I was going to quit sales, right? I was like, this is not for me. I don't want to do it. And then it just kept finding me and just kept finding me and just kept finding me. And I just kept going into it. And here we are now. And I'm like, wow, I can actually help and make a difference and help people be better at this so that they can help more lives and help more people. So I would say that's one thing that I am stronger than I think I'm at. Uh, and then I just get more reiteration of like, yes, you're needed. Yes, this is, believe in yourself. And then the other thing that I would say is just taking a leap of faith into becoming an entrepreneur and having my own business and where I thought for a long, I just didn't even realize that that was a route for me, you know? It had always been something that I thought about. Like as a kid, I remember saying every now and then, like, I want to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I don't know why. Like I would just say those types of things sometimes. And then, it gets lost in the shuffle of life. And then you get sucked into the regular job system. And then I end up being, second in command or like running big teams and all this stuff. But I was like, but it's not for me. But then I was like, I think it is for
Mhm.
you. And here I am.
Awesome.
Right?
Remember seeing, because I was kind of here when you started it in with all this Stacy stuff. And I remember watching you be like, really? That's helpful? Like you didn't know that? It was cool because you didn't realize how I guess how strong you were and how needed
Mhm.
you were and how important you were. And so it was kind of cool watching you do that and then just being like, well, I guess I am good at this. And yeah, I guess people do need this. And not that you are, because you said you wanted to get away from sales and it kept coming back to you. So you're not living true to you, not like
Mhm.
giving in, like, fine, it's always here, but like, oh, I didn't realize that what I was doing was actually something really special.
Right. Sales my way, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't have to be sales, sleazy sales, pushy sales, bro energy sales, hot girl energy sales,
Yeah.
anything other than people just being themselves and actually genuinely caring about the other person that they're talking to and helping them get a result or come to a decision.
Yeah.
That sails
It's
my
so
way.
fun. That's so fun. So I don't remember what call we were on, but you were talking about your son. And that keeps playing in my mind a lot because you had to do things that you didn't know how to do. And you
Mm-hmm.
did them anyways, and you made them happen. And I don't know if you want to share on here all about that. You don't have to. I don't mean to make you feel uncomfortable, but that stood
Oh,
out
no.
to me so much that I mean, because I have a couple of kiddos that have had some stuff that they needed to
Yeah.
have fixed, and you don't know what you don't know, and you just make it happen anyways. So
Yeah.
do you want to share about, are you cool sharing about that just a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit?
I'm fine sharing about it because first of all, I didn't know. I felt very ill prepared for just like what pregnancy brings and all the feelings that come up and how like essentially in my mind how crazy you feel going through it and trying to make sense of any of it at the same time. And then
Amen. Shout out to all the mamas out there. It is
we're
quite the thing.
full disclosure, yeah. And then at the same time, you're going to doctors who you're supposed to trust, right? And you do. And they tell you things and they get you in and they get you out. And like meanwhile, you felt like you were just like hit in the face with whatever news or whatever thing that was, and still you can't make sense of it. So when I went into like my anatomy scan for my son, the ultrasound tech, and meanwhile, this is like still post COVID, or that like 2020 when I'm doing all this stuff. So my husband wasn't allowed to come up and do like the ultrasounds and things with me. So I'm alone and I'm just like, do, everything's fine. And she's like doing the scan. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to get the doctor. I can't see like the right foot or whatever. And I'm like, okay. Doctor comes in and very doctor-like they sometimes they don't always have the best bedside manner or whatever, but I get it. And he's basically telling me that my son has, what they think is probably a clubbed foot, and they can't tell if it's on one foot or both feet, and they're using words like unilateral or bilateral, and I don't even know what they're talking about. And then they're like, well, you could do like all these things, and then because that might mean that all these other things, like maybe he's not well or not right or whatever they call it. And I could get emotional probably thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, well, before I do this, like, can we at least get my husband? And, like, because they're like, well, we could check for all these chromosomes and make sure that, whatever these things. And it's interesting because we're in this challenge about find your story. And one of the questions is like, what haunts you? And I could argue that one of the things that haunts me is like doing an amniocentesis to figure out the chromosomes of my son and like waiting for 6 weeks on test results that don't even matter in the end and like just caused me so much stress to even think that anything was wrong. And how invasive that was for me. And then I just remember crying after I got out of that ultrasound because I felt like I didn't keep him safe because like with an amniocentesis they essentially like stick a big needle into your uterus and like pull out the amnia, well, all the things, they pull out this fluid that it then is supposed to tell them all these things, but then they could have hurt the baby and then you're like risking. So that's actually one thing that haunts me. Anyway, cut to my son is born. We're getting prepped by people about like what to expect when he's born with this clubbed foot. And meanwhile, my son was also born 6 weeks early, probably for a various number of reasons, but I remember being like in work mode, like just trying to send an email, and I was in such denial about being in labor. And they have like the NICU nurse in there trying to basically explain to me how my son's probably going to be in the NICU for a long time. And like the ultrasound tech telling me how I should lay down so they could, I don't know. Anyway, and yeah, so my son was born. He was in a NICU for just under a month, where my husband and I just lived there every day and just held him. And he was hooked up all these monitors, all these machines. He had his clubbed foot. The clubbed foot doctors would come in. He couldn't see a specialist till after that. And then I had to navigate how to correct his foot and he had to wear braces. And I always felt so bad because I just felt like my baby, people would buy like onesies for him, but like it didn't make sense to have him in a onesie for like the way his like, corrective stuff had to be, or his
Yeah.
cast. Like he had a cast for probably the first 4 months of his life on his foot that he would have to go like get off and like reposition, and he had to have surgery. And then my baby's like, I just remember him being hooked up to these like IVs where I was like, that's making him uncomfortable. Can you just take, like, I don't think he needs that. Like, you already did the
Yeah.
surgery. And they're like, no, we don't. And I'm like, really? Because he keeps hitting his hand and it hurts. So it's interesting, like, how you have to find your voice as a parent and advocate for your kid. And then even just going through the whole NICU experience, um, that was something. And going through the other experience of like club fee and like the specialists you have to see with those bills and the Mitchell shoes and the corrective things that you have to do and the surgeries and all those things. And then you realize that that care isn't always available to people around the world. So yeah, that's something I got through that I was stronger than you think. Meanwhile, I like had a surgery to get I was having health issues that I didn't know because I was trying to be so strong for my son in such an new mom grind mode. I put myself last and that showed up, and then had postpartum too, but it's just like it was a journey, but I just remember being so gun-ho focused on like I don't care what it takes, I just have to help my son, but at the same time feeling like it was somewhat my fault. But it's not, right? Like it's just part of life that you take as it comes and then you get through it, and then you're stronger than you think. You're like, wow, here
Absolutely.
we are. I was showing my son pictures. He wanted to see baby Miles. And so this was like a week or two ago. And it was interesting because like I was showing him baby Miles, and then we got to like the NICU pictures and stuff, for example. And you could tell he was kind of processing like, what was it? And he looks at this one picture and he was like, oh, I missed my mom and dad. I miss my mom and dad. And I was like, oh, how do you know that? He was like, well, look, I look so sad. I just want my mommy and daddy. And I was like, baby, you know? So I'm just so excited. Like he's beautiful and running around like a crazy man, like so full of life, like loves wrestling, wants to be a baseball player, like do all the things. So he's so good and we're all good. So I just wanted to end the story saying that.
Yeah, I know it is nice to be like, wait, what happened? Is he okay? Is everything
Yeah, no, he's
okay?
happy. He's like the largest personality I know.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yes.
That's so wonderful. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. I haven't I was just going to say I haven't stopped thinking about it, which isn't true because I have stopped thinking about it. There've been times I haven't thought about it, but I've thought about it a lot just because I mean, we had a situation with our daughter
Mhm.
who is sticking her face in right now and saying hi. She had a heart thing that nobody knew
Oh,
about, and it was, I mean, it happens in
it's
less than one
scary.
half of 1% of all congenital heart defects. Like they didn't find it until she was almost a year and a half old.
Wow.
And she's good now. She's totally good. I mean, she's almost 17.
Right.
She's
But
ornery but like we had to figure out all these things, and I mean
yeah.
the amount of advocating you get the opportunity to do for your child,
I
and
like that you said get the opportunity to do.
well, you really do, don't you? It's
Yeah.
it's really incredible. And I think over and over, and it was cool because you said I mean, this part wasn't cool, but I'll get to the cool part.
Again,
You
again,
said that you had some medical stuff that you were dealing with because you were so focused on your child. And I think one of the things that we tend to do as moms is everybody else is so important instead of us
mm,
that those types of things happen. We get really, really ill or we get whatever because everybody else is so important. And I think that's dangerous,
yeah.
because then we swing the other way and then we don't care about anybody else and it's only us, and so trying to find that
Yeah.
balance
It's always a balance.
is really important. But you're good too. You got taken care of and you're
Oh
okay.
yeah, I'm good. I don't
Okay.
have a gallbladder anymore, guys, but
Okay,
and
well,
pancreatitis is no joke. But
hmm,
yeah.
that's not fun.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing, but we're all better now.
Good, everybody's good. Everybody's good.
It's good,
And now
but
you
yeah,
have
the heart thing, wow. Because it's interesting because not only are you advocate or like learning to advocate for your little one, and even just trying to every decision you're making, you're like, is this the right decision? Is this the right decision? Because now, yeah, you're just trying to navigate being a parent and caring for a little one anyway, that all these decisions come out to you all at once about something you have no clue about. You're also learning about, and you're like, so it's a lot to take in, and I'm glad that she's all good and fine too, but I can imagine what you guys must have been going through to even try to navigate it.
Oh my gosh, isn't it insane? I remember the doctor coming in one time when we finally got her to the right place, and they were drawing all these things on this paper. And like, I'm a massage therapist, and like, I love the body. I know the body really well, but I like couldn't even process what he was saying and what he was drawing and what they would have to do to my baby. It's
Right.
like I couldn't get there from here. And I don't have a hard time usually with that kind of stuff, but it was my baby that they were cutting into, and this is what they had to do, and this was what they were going to
Wow.
fix. And so it must be hard for people who don't have any kind of medical background at all, to because you're learning new words and new things. And they're saying vascular ring and double aortic arch, and surgery, open heart surgery, but through the back and not through the chest, and like
Oh
all
my
these things, and
goodness.
you're like, what the heck does that mean? They're saying amniocentesis to you, and you're like, genetic testing and clubfoot, and you're like, my husband's not here. Like,
I'm
I
like,
need I need a
yeah,
human
I'm
to be
alone.
strong with. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, the things that and isn't it fascinating, because I think one of the biggest reasons I do this podcast, the Stronger Than You Think podcast, is because we all tell a story. We all tell our story. And it's not just the story we tell. It's built up of all these experiences, all these things we've been through, all of these challenges we've overcome. And we don't share it all because we
Right.
don't need to, but that's the lens that we look through. That's the cape that we wear. That's why we're able to do
Wow.
these things. And I, in my work over the years through energy work, the amazing things that people have overcome, I'm just more and more in awe, because you probably don't talk about everything you went through with your son, but you learned stick to itiveness, you learned how to advocate, and you understood even more. You weren't necessarily selling while you were doing all that with him, but you were having heart conversations all of the time. And
Uh-huh.
it's so cool how who we are is who we are. And that's how we do everything. And so I don't know. I'm just it's just beautiful to know you, Emily. I just think you're absolutely incredible. And I love that you talk about sales in a way that is a service, because it truly is. And I really appreciate hearing that, because it just feels different. So thank you
Yeah.
for what you're doing. Thank you for empowering people to share what they have in a way that's beautiful.
Well, you're incredible to know as well. And I'm happy that we know each other. And thank you so much. And I hope it helps, and I hope it feels better in people's bodies as you're like, oh, here's your sales muscle. Here's your heart
Right?
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think it will. So thank you so much. Thank you so, so, so much for coming
Thank
today.
you, my
This
beautiful
was
friend.
so fun. I love it. And we will hang out again very, very soon. All right. Thank
Sounds
you so much
awesome.
for coming to my podcast. Everybody have a wonderful day. And I always like to say, remember, I'm walking with you. Emily and I are walking with you, and you're
Yeah.
stronger than you think. Have the best day.
Bye.
Bye.